Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast. This is your host, Howard Fox. The Outdoor Adventure Series celebrates individuals and families, businesses, and organizations that seek out and promote the exploration of the great outdoors. Our guest today is Erin McDermott. Erin is the Executive Director of Friends of Red Rock Canyon. Friends of Red Rock Canyon is a nonprofit, a 501c3 organization whose mission is to preserve, protect, and enrich Red Rock Canyon National Conservation Area. Erin, it's a pleasure to have you on the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Howard. This is such a treat and such a great way to start the work week. So thanks for having us.
Well, you know something, I am very grateful that you are willing to do that. I have to admit that, well, for our listeners, just a little backstory here. Is I was at the Outdoor Writers Association of America's annual conference in Jay Peak, Vermont, back early October. When I got back from Vermont, there was a Facebook message or a post, and it was this wild or outdoor film festival that was going to be at Red Rock. And I was like, wow, what a coincidence, and it's Saturday and I have no social life. So I'm going to go out to Red Rock. And as I was walking around waiting for the film festival to start, there was a lot of tables with a lot of nonprofit organizations, quasi-governmental organizations, of which the Friends of Red Rock Canyon was there. And so was Erin. And that's how we met. And so you were like, I think I must have Erin chatted with about 6 to 8 people, but you were like, when I sent out my email, you were like replied back in like a heartbeat. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no, totally. And that was such a lovely evening. And, we've all been so isolated the past 2 years, and it really felt like such a normal evening to be gathering as a group. And it was, a bit of a reunion for the conservation community. So you really got us in the best of moods, right? Because we haven't done anything like that in years. So it was our friends, that Friends of Nevada Wilderness host that film festival every year. And we were really excited to be there and to, spread the message about our work. And then also I got to meet you. So it was a great collision. It was awesome.
Sometimes timing is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. And so the Red Rock Canyon, National Conservation Area, it's beautiful. And you come to Las Vegas, and a lot of people go to the Strip, but they don't realize this wonderful oasis of nature and water, wildlife, plants is like a stone's throw away from the Las Vegas Strip. You're like the best secret in town almost.
Yeah. And I will say, I hate to break to you and your listeners, the secret's out. The secret is out. And it's really wonderful that as locals and visitors, there are parts of the canyon where you do feel like no one else knows about this place that you're experiencing. The Bureau of Land Management, who actually manage Red Rock Canyon, they are projecting by 2025 that we'll have over 5 million visitors.
5 million.
5 million. And we average a little over 3 million annually come out to Red Rock. So and we're on the map.
Yeah. Where do you put them? Where do they go? I granted that you have this beautiful scenic route, and I've only really done the scenic route. I haven't really gone hiking in Red Rock yet, but 3 million, that's a lot of visitors.
It is. It's a lot of visitors. And so Red Rock Canyon is National Conservation Area is about 200,000 acres. And I think, people think that Red Rock is that core area where the scenic drive is and where the visitor center is, but it goes a bit further north and a bit south below Highway 160 or State Route 160. So it's a huge area. And I've lived in Las Vegas for 7 years, and it's been such a delight to explore other parts of Red Rock. Some of my favorite hikes are nowhere near where my office is, right by the visitor center. And so, when we think about the Bureau of Land Management, as the land managers, they've got to think about how they juggle that visitor use with the mission of conservation. And it's a lot of use. It's a lot of use. And so our organization is very busy in supporting the community with all of that use, because with all that use comes some kind of more destructive habits like social trails and graffiti. So we have our work cut out for us.
No doubt, no doubt. And perhaps even after the call is over and we're not recording, I may ask you for some of your secret
Oh, please.
hikes,
Yes.
because as somebody I just moved to Las Vegas a year ago, July, came from Chicago, had an opportunity to come out here and do some coaching work. And when I got out here, it was just like, I got to get out to the desert. I just have to. I didn't care about the Strip. And just knowing that Red Rock, Mojave National Preserve, and I live a stone's throw from Lake Mead, it's like all this beautiful Bureau of Land Management area is just like at your fingertips, and it's wonderful. Before we kind of dive more into the, to the Friends of Red Rock Canyon, tell us a little bit more about your background. How'd you get here?
Yeah, no, totally. So I'm originally from Maryland, and I've now, looking back, the past decade has been, just filled with a lot of great nonprofit experience. And I graduated right in the middle, or graduated from college right in the middle of the recession about
Perfect
a
timing.
decade ago, right? A great time to have our liberal arts degree in political science back in 2010. So I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew, even though I had a poli-sci degree, I didn't want to go into politics. And so I did a year of service with AmeriCorps, which is the national kind of volunteer program with Habitat for Humanity in my community back in Maryland. And so it's just kind of been this snowball effect of different nonprofit work. And so then I hopped to New Mexico and worked for a micro lender called Accion. And they're an international nonprofit that does access to finance for small businesses that don't have access to kind of capital, or maybe they only have access to predatory lending.
Sure.
So I was in New Mexico, and then that nonprofit asked me to move to Nevada to open the market here. So I was the head lender and a director for the kind of Southwest area, managing a lending team with this nonprofit. And then I saw that this job opened with Friends of Red Rock. And, just like you, Howard, I would spend my days off at Red Rock. And there were even some mornings before I hopped into the finance world, I'd come out here and cycle, or I'd go to Cottonwood Station and get a coffee. And I felt like I was on a mini vacation. And so I saw that Friends was looking for an executive director. And I knew that that was one of my professional goals, to run a nonprofit. So I threw my hat in the ring, and here we are. And it's been, a decade of nonprofit experience. And I've reflected back, because all of these, Habitat, Accion, Friends, it all sounds very different in the nonprofit sector. But for me, I've found this really beautiful kind of backbone to these experiences are about access, responsible access to things. Maybe it's responsible access to a mortgage, or to lending, or to your outdoors. And so, what can I do to make sure and ensure that there's responsible access for my community to experience these resources? And so I've really enjoyed all of it.
Fantastic.
So it's a lot of fun.
I have to share with you is I know Accion.
Oh,
yeah,
wonderful.
That was my little surprise to you. Like,
cool. Okay, so you know all about Accion, because Accion Chicago
exactly.
Accion Chicago, was one of our kind of sister organizations.
Mm-hmm.
I was more in the Southwest area, but they were in the Chicago area, and we would retreat together every year. The staff would, and we shared different lending platforms and made decisions kind of nationally as a group about our lending policies. So, that's so cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a small world, and it's interesting. Even in my coaching work for my client, there's one of the individuals that I coach. They also worked for Accion. I think it was down southeast somewhere. So when you got to Nevada, you found this opportunity at Red Rock, Friends of Red Rock Canyon, to become the executive director. And I just I had an interview a couple of weeks ago with the executive director of the Career Transition Center of Chicago, which is another 501c3, but they help people who are going through transition. And I've known Anita for, by the way, back in 2010, I went back to school to get my master's in leadership and my coach
Oh, wow.
training. And it didn't even dawn on me that we are in the middle of this recession. And it's like, hey, I'm now $30,000 in debt.
Oh,
And
yeah.
but
We all powered through, right? We had
we,
nature therapy while
yeah,
powering through.
we powered
Yes.
through that. And so you came out here. What does the executive director of Friends of Red Rock Canyon do? I mean, what's life like you and like for you any given day or week? I mean, COVID aside, okay, because
Yeah.
that introduced a lot of complexities, but what does the executive director of Friends of Red Rock Canyon do in a kind of a given week?
Yeah, that's a great question. Every day looks different, of course. A lot of us can say that are, professionals and out in the world working. But I think, just to back up a little bit to shed some context on our organization, Howard, it was so great. You shared our mission of preservation, protection, and enrichment. And those are very big words. And I think I'm realizing that our organization has been around since 1984, but we're still a little mysterious. And so really how that has looked over the years is we help to co-manage the volunteer program at Red Rock. And then we also do partnership work in the community. And then we do fundraising for different priority projects out here. And then there's kind of just a miscellaneous bucket of we get involved in kinds of odds and ends. But really the volunteer program and fundraising and partnership work are what my days look like. We're really at a critical point in the Friends history, because right now the Bureau of Land Management, who manage Red Rock, are really getting their ducks in a row as to how they manage Red Rock and putting some different projects in place. And it's great for us as an organization to kind of pivot to support those gaps. We're asked to be created by the Bureau of Land Management in the 80s. They said,
wow.
Hey, we need a Friends group. A lot of these federal agencies are underfunded, and the Bureau of Land Management is not known for the visitor use and kind of interp education and volunteer program. They're just land managers, right? And there's a lot of kind of conflicting information as to what the BLM does. And there's lots of, sometimes, unfortunately, controversy around some of the mysteriousness of what they do in selling land or dealing with wild populations of horses and burros. So what's happening at Red Rock, we really are the crown jewel of kind of the conservation land system. And what's happening out at Red Rock is such a cool combination of interp education, recreation, preservation, volunteering, and we're so close to such a large population and community that as that visitor use grows and the interest in Red Rock grows, the BLM really needs to shore up plans to make sure that everything is done correctly out here and within their mission. So that means for us as an organization at Friends, we have to pivot to make sure we can complement and fill any gaps that they have, maybe around funding, maybe around staffing. And so again, my days look different. And I know it's a very long answer to that, but I'm really focused right now on operationalizing some components of the business side of Friends, so we really can scale to allow more volunteers and more members to participate out here and give back.
Very nice. And I appreciate the depth that you went. And when I was out at the website, there was a couple things I learned. And one is there's camping inside Red Rock. And before you respond back to that, I am aware of the BLM. When I moved out to Las Vegas, one of the first things I did is I bought a new car. I mean, my 20-some-year-old Honda Accord made it out here. I gave it a kiss and I got rid of it. But I got a Subaru Crosstrek, and I discovered car camping.
Yep.
And I enjoy it. I don't love it, but I enjoy it. I think I'd like a little more space. But I discovered, and I digress, there's camping inside the conservation area. And how does that work within this kind of this area. I mean, as you said, it's 200,000 acres, so there's a lot of places you can go. I imagine it's just a couple places that you set aside for camping and RVs.
Yeah, so there's one formal campground. If listeners are interested in going to the campground, you need a reservation. And you can go to www.recreation.gov and search the Red Rock Canyon Campground. Prices vary depending on the services you need, but there's some RV sites, some tent sites, and then some group sites. It's a seasonal campground. So I believe it's September 1 until the end of May.
Okay.
But the website makes that very clear what the exact dates are. Our office actually doesn't help with that operation at all, but we do get questions about it. It's a lovely campground. I have never camped there because I grew up camping, and my dad had one rule that he didn't want us to camp at least 50 miles from our beds. So he was like, if you have the option, so my dad was a backpacker when he was growing up, and we never camped in our backyard. Families will set up tents in their backyard. He's like, no, if we're doing this, we're going far away. I don't want to be tempted by our beds. So I've never camped at the Red Rock Campground. I've spent a lot of time down there doing volunteer projects, but I've never camped there. But our volunteers have helped do a kind of a prep and then a cleanup at the beginning and end of each session, kind of cleaning up fire pits and grills and camping pads. It's really lovely. There's no cell phone service down there. And the Bureau of Land Management actually has a funding application that's pending right now to expand that campground. So we were just gathering signatures with a letter of support saying, yes, that's a good idea. We want there to be some additional services, because on the west side of Las Vegas, there's no other camping. There's a lot of hotels and casinos, but there's nothing for folks that want to recreate. This time of year, there are a lot of course, visitors from out of town, and we do have a very robust rock climbing population.
Sure.
So we've got a lot of folks that are car camping or van camping, and they're up and out early because they want to hit some of the rocks, because we are a world-class climbing destination. So, but we encourage people to use the campground. It's a really affordable option if you can get a reservation. So Howard, have you been to the Red Rock Campground? You have stayed there?
Well, no, I haven't, because I discovered it. But I'm like, right now, I am trying to figure out what I'm going to do New Year's Eve.
Ooh.
And I was thinking, it would be kind of cool to do. And I've been out to Mojave National Preserve. I go out there when I do dark sky photography. I'm a astrophotography enthusiast.
Oh, cool.
And so I've car camped out there. I enjoy going out there. I love Red Rock, and I love the scenic trail, but I've never been anywhere else, which again, I'm going to take care of that after this call, because you're going to
we'll let me help you with all of those.
You'll help me with you're my new best friend in Las Vegas. This is wonderful. So yeah, I'm a very opportunistic podcaster, by the way. So,
I love it.
So when I discovered that, I thought, well, how cool is that? What would be nice is waking up New Year's Day to this wonderful sunrise and see the red rocks just kind of light up as the sun comes up. So that's actually what was going through my mind.
Oh, that sounds so nice.
We'll see.
And this is, if you can't get a reservation at Red Rock, Las Vegas, as you were coming to learn, is a gateway to so much outdoor recreation. And it's like, I can't even really put it into words. You drive any direction and you're going to hit some cool public land opportunity, and it's so diverse. It's just so diverse. I could be up hiking, on Lee Canyon, up in Lee Canyon with the bristle-cone, and then I can be down here at 110 degrees with burros. Or out, at Lake Mead hiking like a volcano, outside, in the recreation area. It's amazing. It's amazing. Our outdoor kind of recreation.
Who knew? That's what I have a friend that actually lives inside Las Vegas proper. I'm going to get together for dinner on Thanksgiving Day with her. She's all into the shows and the sporting events. And it's like, no, not interested, because I'm more interested in the outdoor, which is she's exact opposite. So okay, that's fine.
There's something for everyone. And I know I go home to the East Coast, and I there's always two observations. I don't have mountains to orient me when I'm driving around.
Yeah.
And number two, I can't buy wine in my CVS. back home. So it's kind of like, it's so different, compared to where I grew up. And so it's really funny, just those little quirky things, but it's just amazing the opportunities we have. It's really fun. And then that leads to a really rich conservation community. I mean, there are so many organizations similar to mine that are doing just amazing work throughout the valley and throughout Southern Nevada, doing similar work with volunteering and conservation and cleanups everywhere you turn. And we're a very collaborative group of people, which you saw from the film festival about a month and a half ago. So, I'm really glad that that community exists for the sake of, all these just our beautiful kind of desert backyard.
Oh, definitely. It was interesting as you walked around at the Desert Film Festival, everybody had the notepad on the table to sign up for the mailing list. And I was like, no, not doing that. But hey, I do have a podcast. And so you were the recipient of that little spiel from me.
That's awesome.
But I did sign up today. So ta-da.
Thank you for doing that.
You're very welcome. And I figure I go there enough, and I actually need to get back out there because I was going to renew my national park pass, which is
perfect.
I needed to do that as well. So another good reason to get out there. When you are out and about, and taking advantage of the Red Rock Canyon Conservation Area, what are you enjoying? What's your way to kind of, again, it's your place of work. But what do you do when you want to get out there and enjoy it?
I'm a big hiker. So on my days off, I will come out here, if weather permitting. I love to hike, and I've got lots of favorite hikes. I'm also a mountain biker. I'm not very good. I'm not a very good mountain biker, but I really, for some of the areas that are designated for mountain biking, because not all parts of Red Rock are, I really wanted to experience Red Rock in that way, in terms of that user group. And it's such a fun adrenaline rush. So there's the Cottonwood Valley area, which is by kind of where 159 and 160 meet, kind of south of Blue Diamond, south and west of Blue Diamond. There's a great mountain biking network. So I'll mountain bike. I love to hike all parts of the conservation area. And I even I call them walk talks. So I can't do this all the time, but for different colleagues with the Bureau of Land Management or other partners, we'll do a hiking meeting, and we'll hike the Moenkopi Trail, which is just right behind the Administration and Visitor Center building. And so we'll have a walk talk, as I call it. So even when I'm at work, I try to build in connecting to the land. That helps me make the best decisions for our organization. And it just reminds me of why I'm out here doing this. And I need to have that connection. And I really enjoy it. And I still, every morning when I drive to work and I cross over that Welcome to Red Rock sign on Charleston, /159, I have to just pinch myself. And when I look up at the escarpment and look at that red streak, through the rock, and some days I just can't wrap my brain around the fact that I work out here. And not only do I work out here to continue to preserve it so future generations can have that same kind of like pinch me moment, so I love being out here, and people will run into me out here on my days off, and I'll run into other staff. I'll run into volunteers. We've definitely, I definitely am just obsessed. Obsessed with it. Yeah.
As a coach, and I do a lot of career development coaching, and one of the aspects of the coaching is to help my clients discover a career or vocation that they're so absolutely passionate about that they couldn't even imagine doing anything else. And because if you can't, then what you have is work, a job, and you're living to work. You're not working to live. And which is here in the United States. I mean, that seems like that's all we do is live to work. And I love the fact that you have your walking meetings.
My walk talks. Yeah, my walk talks.
And I love that. In fact,
we can walk talk anytime you want to come walk talk with me, Howard. We can happily walk talk.
You know what I'm thinking is, because you and I are sitting here, I'm in my apartment, home office, you're in your office, we're having this podcast. There is absolutely no reason why we can't have a podcast episode that we're recording and we're walking, because I have the equipment to be able to do that. And I'm thinking, that would be kind of fun just to go out to Red Rock and even to coach my clients, because they're all virtual now. I moved out here to be in Vegas for our Vegas client, but then COVID hit. And now I coach my clients' associates all over the country. So I don't technically even have to be at my desk. Well, for the most part. But just the idea of you're having your business, conducting business while you're having your walk talks. I love it. And, it reminds me many years ago, before I used to be, I'm a recovering IT business consultant. So that was my work. And I used to work with a pharmaceutical company up in the Poconos. And one of my project manager, we used to have what we called the Cleary Walk, which was the equivalent of your walk talk. We just walk out, go around the perimeter of the parking lot in the Poconos. It was wonderful.
That's great.
And it's just so nice to get out and remind yourself, something, you got to get up and explore and just kind of be in the moment, slow down for a minute and just take in what is around you.
Take in what's around us, that sense of place. I think I've also been out on walk talks with different leadership out here at Red Rock. And it's so eye-opening to observe how people are interacting with the land as well. Just a quick little hike behind the visitor center. You're like, wait, why do people think that's a trail? Like, oh wait, it does kind of look like a trail, that wash, or, and so I think not only is it really, you're kind of being smacked in the face with the sense of place because it's around you. You're getting some vitamin D, you're getting some movement. And then really in terms of observing that sense of place, it's really beneficial. And so I wish I did more of it. I do it a few times a month and it's usually planned, right? I can't just go out and, kind of my work attire and hit the trail. and I can't just do that to a colleague, like, hey, it's 110 degrees and you're in your suit. Like, let's go on a walk talk. It is a planned outing, but I really enjoyed incorporating that into my day. And when I was in finance with Accion, I was working really, really long days and my days were scheduled with clients in 30-minute chunks. And it was just, I loved that all of that client interaction, but I was sitting a lot during the day. And I would come out to Red Rock, to really just to ground myself and to feel connected to myself and to my community. And so I'm really happy that I've been able to continue to do that. And now I work here. So it's really wild how it all came to fruition. I never in 1,000 years would have thought a decade ago when I graduated in the middle of the recession that I'd be in Las Vegas at a national conservation area running an organization doing walk talks. But it all makes sense now. Looking back, it all makes sense. But at life is amazing like that. And it's just been such a gift. It's been just such a gift to be on this ride with different organizations and to currently be out here at Red Rock.
Sure. I've got a couple questions before we start to end today's interview. Is when you are out and about in Red Rock, perhaps it's the walk talk, perhaps it's just you on hiking or on your bike. When you just stop in the moment, what are some of the things you notice about just being there?
I go, oh my God, it's so gorgeous. I've never seen anything like this before. And there's just a sense of peace and calm that kind of comes from that observation. And it's like my brain can't process sometimes when I'm looking at, these really jagged kind of rocks, and all the canyons really look so approachable. It feels like when you're looking at these things, you can just kind of coast right in. It's not that easy. No. And please be prepared if you come out here, but it looks very approachable. And yeah, I am just always in awe. And then, I'm always flooded with a lot of beautiful memories of hiking out here with family and friends. And that's always really special, to think about all the little stories that I have, from over the years out here at Red Rock. But it's all good, warm, fuzzy feelings. I even cry sometimes, because it's just so beautiful. And it just, there's this sense of kind of calm that comes over you. And I just feel so lucky to be able to be seeing and interacting with Red Rock Canyon the way I do.
That's fantastic. One last question. If there are visitors you hear of, it could be coming from anywhere, and they want to know, well, I don't really want to spend time in the Strip or see a show, the restaurant. I want to go somewhere to see something I haven't seen before. What would you say to them, knowing what you know about Red Rock Canyon Conservation Area?
I've actually had this happen, Howard. I have, different family friends that are, like, we want to go to Utah. We really don't like Las Vegas. We're coming in, we're getting a car, and we're just getting out of Vegas, knowing that these individuals like, outdoor experiences. And so I always say, hey, take a half day, drive the scenic drive, do the Calico Tanks Trail, and then go to Utah. I always talk people into stopping by. And so I've had that happen. And people just kind of write off Las Vegas because they think it's just that 5-mile strip, and that's all our community has to offer, which, like I said earlier, we're a gateway to not only other public lands, but we've got some literally in our backyards. And so all directions, you can see some cool stuff. And so I always try to convince people to stop by. And even if you've got an hour, come drive the scenic drive. It's a 13-mile one-way scenic loop with pull-offs. There's some short hikes, but pull-offs with amazing views. So I always tell people, at the minimum, just, come through Red Rock. And we do have a reservation system right now called timed reservations. Those are in play between October and May. And that is, you have to basically buy, in addition to your entry fee, you have to buy a $2 reservation, and that guarantees parking for you. And that's really to help with resource damage that's occurred over the years and to help with safety. So yeah, come drive the drive.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Erin, if our listeners would like to learn more about you and Red Rock Canyon National Conservation Area, where are the best places for them to go?
Yeah, so I highly suggest, and any of your listeners can, if they're curious about our organization, or at least how to kind of get into the fold, either recreating or volunteering, you can go to www.friendsredrock.org, or you can follow us on Facebook at Friends Red Rock. And you're more than welcome to shoot me an email, which is on our website, or find me on LinkedIn.
Fantastic.
There are many points of entry that we can adapt to.
I love it. And we will definitely provide the website link as well as Red Rock Facebook page. And I know you're on Instagram as well.
Yep.
And we will provide those backlinks as well as a link to your LinkedIn URL. Erin, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We need to get a walk. We need to get a walk talk on the calendar. I work for my client Tuesday through Thursday. Monday and Fridays are usually my off days. That's when I do my home coaching work and I do my podcast. So I'm thinking there's a walk talk in our future. So I love it. It's perfect.
Thank you again for taking the time. This was fantastic.
Thanks, Howard.
All right. So hang on. We're just going to do a quick close, and we can chat a little bit more.
Perfect.
All right, folks, what a wonderful episode. We have been chatting with Erin McDermott. She's the executive director of Friends of Red Rock Canyon, and we have been chatting about this wonderful area, literally a stone's throw from the Las Vegas Strip, just west. And Red Rock Canyon National Conservation Area. The area itself is managed by the Bureau of Land Management, but the Friends of Red Rock Canyon oversee the niceties of taking care of the conservation area, making it a place of destination for people visiting Las Vegas. There's a huge volunteer community. There's partnering with other organizations who also have a great passion for the idea of conservation, nature, and really just a kind of a wonderful place to get out and explore. And I have to say, my friends that last came to visit Red Rock, and I'm going to shout out to Tim and Ruthie Hast. This is exactly where I took them. We took the scenic tour because we had to do that. And really just a kind of a wonderful place. Do go out and visit their website, friendsredrock.org. And again, we're going to provide the backlinks there as well as to the Facebook and Instagram links as well, and also a link to Erin's LinkedIn profile. Okay, folks, I hope you enjoyed today's podcast of the Outdoor Adventure Series. You can find us for right now on our LinkedIn and Facebook pages. As some of you know, we are kind of separating out the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast from our other podcasts on Success Insight, because, hey, this whole outdoor space is just pretty phenomenal, and we felt it needed its own unique space out on the internet. And so that's what we're doing right now. You can also find us on the major podcasting platforms: Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Audible, and especially Spotify, where we have the Outdoor Adventure Series playlist. Okay, folks, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, go out there, have a phenomenal day. Take care of yourselves, take care of your family, and we will see you on another episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast. Take care now.